I'm going to be documenting this whole build from where we're at now, which is just a bunch of dirt and no real anything here, all the way to hanging TVs, mantles, windows, electrical, plumbing. We're going to document all that on this channel. So if you guys want to watch that, I'd appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, ringing the bell so you get notified. What is up, YouTube? Thanks for stopping by. Today we are going to break down the 6,318 square foot insulated concrete form build that we're doing here. This is going to be insane. We got a bunker going in. We got crawl spaces. We're doing a pier and beam, and I'm going to explain all that stuff to you. And I'm going to explain to you what we have in this folder here. So this folder holds about $5,000 worth of paperwork that we had to get done, or we chose to get done before we even break ground on this build. Now, I've scraped some things. I've done some skid steer work here just to get things flattened out so we can kind of spray paint some different spots and whatnot so we can get things calculated. But overall, before the actual specific, excavation of footings, of the bunker, of all that other stuff starts, we had to get this information, and I want to go through what that is. And if you are building, I would highly recommend doing the same thing, especially if you're considering an insulated concrete form build. So right out the gate, let's see what we got here. I'll pull the first piece that we did here, and that's going to be our geotech study, right? So our geotech study is basically where they drill into the ground to figure out what the makeup of your soil is. Now, I'm here in good old Tejas, where there's a lot of clay, a lot of bad soil. It's good for some things, it's bad for most things. So we had to get this geotech study done because we wanted to make sure that when we put all of our stuff together, we have enough soil to be strong. We have the proper soil to be strong enough for what's going on here. If you don't know what insulated concrete forms are, it's basically an insulated concrete form. It's a form that you pour concrete and you put rebar, or in this case MST bar, in, and you pour this from the ground up. So we have footings that are going to be poured, stem walls that are going to be poured, and then we have concrete walls that are going the entire height of our building, which in some cases is 10 foot, 12 foot, 16 foot. And when you do the math quickly in your head, that's a lot of concrete, that's a lot of weight. And then we have a cut and stack roof going on top of that, which is even more weight distribution that's going to be put on the exterior walls. So we needed to make sure that the soil that we were building on was strong enough to get this done. So this is a geotech study. It's about 30 something pages. They came out here and they did 2 borings, and you can see on this page, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you can see the 2 spots that they drilled to let us know what the soil makeup was. And they drilled about 25 feet deep, and it'll show here on this page. And on this page, it'll kind of show you the diagram of what soil you have. So the first 4.5 feet were expansive clay. That's pointless to us. It's useless. We don't want to use that for anything. That's where you're going to get cracks, shifting, expansion, contraction, all that stuff. It's just bad news bears, right? But from 4.5 feet down to 18 feet, we have limestone weathered, which is moderately hard, which is what we're going to be putting our foundation on. And in these geotech studies, they'll give you recommendations of what load you can put on that. Let's see if I can find that here. So again, there's a lot of good information on here, but I'm just pulling out some of the specific stuff that you want to know. So on that weathered limestone, we have 3 kips per square foot. So that is basically, and I might not be saying this perfectly correct, but that's kilopounds per square foot, which is 1,000 pounds, right? That's what a kilopound is. So that means we have 3,000 pounds per square foot once we get down to that weathered limestone, which is plenty for us. So we don't need more than 3,000 pounds per square foot. So we're going to be digging down. It's 4.5 feet. So we'll probably go down 6 feet for our footings. And that's where we're going to start putting our stem walls up, and then our ICF. So this was very helpful to know where we had to go down, because, if you didn't have this study, you might have had your contractors digging down until they found bedrock, and they might be going down, 10, 12 feet until they think it's fine. And in that case, you could be wasting a ton of concrete, a ton of labor, when you could have done 10 feet shorter and had the same amount of kilopounds per square foot, basically. So this was $3,500, but in the end, it probably saved us a lot more than that, as well as the peace of mind knowing that we are sitting our concrete walls and our footings on good soil is totally worth it, in my opinion. So that's the first thing that we got before we did anything. And this was sent off to our engineers to make sure that they can create a footing that is wide enough and thick enough and all that other good stuff for us to have a sound build. The next piece of information that I got was this hover. So this is an AI-ish tool that will give you specs on all of your builds. This is another 36-page document that breaks everything down from fascia lines to roof lines, to labeling each corner and everything else. This will be great for form work. This will be great for just dimensions in general to make sure that we are on point for all of our corners, because we are dealing with concrete walls. This isn't a quick little shift over a little bit. We need to make sure that our blocks are sitting right where they need to sit, and we're landing right in the middle of that footing. We're not going to settle for crooked. We're not going to settle for womper jog. We want things to be precise, on point, and perfect. So this gives us a lot of information for that. I'm not sure what the price of this is, but I do highly recommend getting this, because even for the first phase, it's helpful. But from every phase past that, whether you're ordering fascia, whether you're ordering shingles, roof decking, stuff like that, this is going to give you a very, very precise measurement of what you need materials. This is basically a takeoff. Now, I haven't used Hover a lot, so I'm still going to double check it because I'm not 1000% sure. But due to it being a direct upload from our blueprints, it's pretty accurate to what we already had. So this is another thing that we had. The other piece of information is basically the specs for our floating slab garage floor or our bunker ceiling. This is a 16-inch concrete floating floor that will be the floor of our garage, but it'll also be the ceiling of our bunker slash basement. So we needed to have this information because we needed to know what our excavation was going to be for our bunker, where we needed to over excavate, how the floor is going to bear on our concrete walls in our bunker slash basement, and what our footings are going to need to be to carry a 16-inch floor that's going to be over the bunker. So this is more information that directly correlates to how we excavate, even though we're not installing this floor in the first or second phase. Well, we might be doing it in the second phase. But regardless, it's an important piece of information to have to make sure that we excavate and do everything properly. So those are 3 pieces of information that I think are very important to have. And then here on my tailgate, we have my floor plan. Now this is just, I would call it like the cover page. It's not the cover page. Technically it's the second page. But this is the only one I have printed out. This basically just gives us our exact dimensions of our exterior walls and where things turn. This is just nice to have when we're looking out here for rough spray paint, markings for getting our corners done, for getting our entrances done, to know where things are going to be going. And that'll give us a visual of what this looks like on the dirt. And then we'll go in before we excavate and we'll hone this in to be exactly where we want it to be. And then we'll account for over excavation for footings and stuff like that. So what we're building here, to give you kind of a breakdown of what we're doing, we're building, which Hover actually gave us the information. Overall, the envelope is going to be around 6,318 square feet. I think the interior is going to be 50 something square feet. You got to keep in mind, we have a little over 12 inches of thickness of our wall because we're doing insulated concrete forms. So there's about a foot of perimeter all the way around that's just straight up concrete wall, right? We're building a bunker here. We want this home to be durable. We want it to be efficient, and it's going to take up some space. So what we're going to start with is we're going to be excavating our footings, because we're actually building this on a pier and beam foundation. A lot of people may not think that you can do pier and beam foundation with ICF, but it's actually really awesome and a really good way to do it, because one, you guys know, if you haven't watched my video on pier and beam versus slab, I am a sucker for a pier and beam. I think it's more comfortable to live on. I think it's more, it's easier to regulate the temperature and the efficiency of your home. I think that it's easier for repairs or maintenance if you want to move a toilet or add a different type of shower drain, or maybe you want to add a bathroom in an office that you didn't have one before. It gives you a lot of versatility to continue to grow into your home and not be digging up concrete and rebar and plumbing and whatever else is in your slab. Pier and beam, we can run everything in our I-joists below the floor. We have a crawl space to get under there if we have plumbing clogs, if we have any type of issues leaking. It's very easy to repair if things were to go wrong. It's very easy to add things if things were to want to be changed. So that's why I love pier and beam. These will go straight onto our ICF walls, and they will lag in just like you would with any concrete, any basement type of situation. And then we'll do like Advantech X Factor for the subfloor, which will be great. It'll be great for different types of flooring. If you want to do nailed down real wood flooring, you can even do tile, you can do stone. It really gives you all the options. The only option you don't have is a finished concrete floor. But I don't want to finish concrete floor, so I don't have to worry about that. So we're doing the pier and beam foundation, and then again, we have that bunker, which will actually be a slab, obviously, at the bottom of that, and then we'll have the concrete floating floor for the floor of the garage and the ceiling of the bunker. So that's where we're going. We're going to build all of our walls up to our top plate. So in some places, I think it's going to be 10 foot, maybe some places 12. Maybe we might go to 16, but then we're going to cut and stack our roof. So our gables will most likely be stick frame. Our roof will be stick frame. And you can do ICF up to your gables. Because this is my first ICF build, I've heard it's very complicated because to pour concrete at an angle like that, especially because we're doing 12-12 pitches, it's very hard to get that done. So I didn't really see the necessity in that. We're going to beef up our framing for our gables. So we'll still have that security, but we are going to stick frame that, and then we'll deck that, and we'll do our roofing on top of that. What my plan is to do spray-in insulation in the attic space. I'm still debating if I want to do exterior rigid foam on my roof like I did with my other build. We had a perfect wall frame over there where we did exterior insulation on the exterior, and we did insulation on the interior. It's really, really efficient, but because we have the ICF on our walls, I'm debating if we really need that on the ceiling. So I may do rock wool in the ceilings and then just call that a day, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But overall, guys, I'm going to be documenting this whole build from where we're at now, which is just a bunch of dirt and no real anything here, all the way to hanging TVs, mantles, windows, electrical, plumbing. We're going to document all that on this channel. So if you guys want to watch that, I'd appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, ringing the bell so you get notified. There'll be a lot of other videos, educational videos along the way outside of the episodic, show that we're going to be putting on here for you guys. We're going to do it in like episode form, so it's entertaining, but you can learn stuff. And then for all the deep dives, we'll make some separate videos so you guys can learn if you want to build ICF yourself. You'll learn about element ICF, plumb wall, MST bar, and a lot of other really, really cool things. We're going to be doing something crazy here. This is probably going to be a one-of-a-kind build, especially here in Texas. We're going all out. I've sat in my home during storms, during windstorms, during tornadoes, and I don't like feeling unsafe. So I decided I want to build a house that's pretty much a bunker, to where whether it's fire, whether it's wind, whether it's tornadoes, whether it's freaking being invaded, I have a home that is stout and solid. So stay tuned. This is just episode 1, just a quick debrief of what we're doing, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Let me know in the comment section what you want to see, what you want to hear, and we'll get it all documented for you so you guys can decide if you want to do ICF or not. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Much love.